Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Positively Pat Sims Saturday night's main event reaction show. The Saturday night's main event is actually still going on right now on Peacock. In fact, Drew McIntyre just tried to ruin Sami Zayn's big victory celebration. Sami threw him out of the ring. Obviously, this is a big hometown moment for everyone over in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Just kind of checking out the end of this show right now. And so it is official. If you are watching this right now, Sami Zayn will be taking on Drew McIntyre at next week's Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship. So a very entertaining Saturday night's main event. I got to go ahead and exit out of Peacock here. But in all honesty, guys, I had a lot of fun with Saturday night's main event tonight. Saturday night's main event, sometimes it can be very hit or miss. But I thought it was a pretty decent effort, a pretty strong effort. I know a lot of people weren't overly looking forward to this particular event. It wasn't like it was a standout. It's an awkward time for a Saturday night's main event because this is 1 week out from the Royal Rumble. And so your matches here aren't necessarily really the end of a feud. They're not really even the beginning of the feud. What you've got here tonight is essentially continued storylines that are going to take you into next week's Royal Rumble. So that's going to be really exciting to see what happens on Monday Night Raw and what happens on SmackDown. And, of course, the big one, the Royal Rumble, which I am very much looking forward to. You have to excuse me. I wrote on a very normal piece of paper here with a pencil that I may have to look like an older guy here just trying to read what I wrote. But as I took notes throughout the show. But I tell you what, it was a fun show, and let's kick things off. Obviously, we can kind of start at the end because we are fresh off the end of Saturday night's main event. Now, guys, just really quickly before we get going, we do have right here on YouTube, because we are exclusive right now on YouTube, live streaming. We have in YouTube our super stickers and super chats. All right, you guys can jump on at any time and use those. And what I'm doing right now is I am setting a goal for in the next hour. We probably won't go that long. We'll see. But for the next hour, we want to get 10 of those super chats. And if you guys do, then you'll be helping us out quite a bit. And I'll be very, very grateful, happy, thankful for you guys helping us out. So this is our instant reactions to what we just saw. Let's start with the main event. And the main event, which just got done, Sami Zayn, again, is your number one contender to the WWE Undisputed Championship. And very interestingly, as usual on a WWE event, this was not a PLE, by the way. The PLE would have been on ESPN. This is actually just kind of a special event. It would be a special televised event. But really, what this is, whoa, what happened to my Saturday night's main event? That's interesting. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, that's very interesting as to why that happened. So let me just fix that. Well, boy, technical stuff, huh? Yeah. Let's just fix that right up, shall we? Because that's going to bother me. Just shrink that on down. Pull it over. There we go. Boom. That's close. That's close to what I had. And then I get to – but while we're doing that, so, yes, this Saturday night's main event is not a PLE. It is, in fact, just a special event, like a televised special type of deal. So that's why it's on Peacock. They have a deal with NBC and WWE to air these, which is why what I was told this morning on the Positively Pat Sims show, I was informed that NBC controls when the Saturday night's main events go on, which is why it's kind of weird or strange that you would have a special a week out from the Rumble. But the way that they worked the Saturday night's main event tonight made it work out. It seems like this actually became a good idea because we furthered storylines. We set up things for the Royal Rumble while still making this event feel special. So the main event tonight, which I was actually kind of surprised that this was the main event, but then you kind of realize, well, you got Sami Zayn in there. You got the hometown hero who obviously now we know went over and is now your number one contender for the WWE Undisputed Championship. So that makes sense that it's the main event. However, I will also say that I was kind of thinking along the lines that AJ versus Shinsuke would close out the show. And AJ and Shinsuke definitely got the most time tonight. And we had right at about 2-hour show. Shinsuke and AJ really had a good amount of time to do their thing and really, really did a great job. But in this main event matchup, the number one contender match, we had Randy Orton, who came out first, Damian Priest out second, followed by Trick Williams, and, of course, lastly, the hometown hero, Sami Zayn. And we always like to play this little game, or I do, where we figure out who came out first and who came out second, and then we find out which spot is the lucky spot of the night. And tonight, as usual, with Triple H's WWE, I've noticed, the number one entrant was 2-1 tonight. So it is good to be number one. We did not have a finish in our first match of the night, but it always seems to be good to be the first person out for the most part in Triple H's WWE from the reviews and the reaction shows we've done in the past, which this isn't our second, actually. If you guys are joining us, you notice there's only one other reaction show in this playlist, and then we got one upcoming for next week. That's because these were originally part of our honest reviews, where we were combining honest reviews of WWE and movies. All right, so that's why you will only find a few in there. But here we go, guys. This was a really, really fun Fatal 4-Way matchup. The main thing here was, we're going to remind you Damian Priest is still around. if you're not watching SmackDown, because I'll say this, guys, a lot of people, all right, have cut the cord. A lot of people do not have cable anymore, and so they might not be watching SmackDown. And if you're not watching SmackDown, you're missing out on anything that Damian Priest is doing. All right, Raw is Raw, SmackDown is SmackDown, and so this was meant for everybody that doesn't have cable to remind them, hey, Damian Priest is still here. He's still in the picture. Number two, this match was here to establish that Trick Williams is legit. This was to help bring up Trick and establish Trick as a legitimate main event star or main roster star. And in both cases, that worked. Welcome, Chris Hall Transformation 2026. I know who that is. I know Chris Hall Transformation 2026, future Fast Track client. Welcome to our Saturday night's main event reaction show. And yeah, I have to do the same thing. I have to watch SmackDown via social media or YouTube on highlight clips. And that's really the only way that I can do that. Same thing with NXT. But I'm going to stay on the product as it happens. And sometimes the best way to do that is through like X, because they're constantly just boom, boom as it happens. So that's kind of how I do that. Okay, number 3 is Randy Orton. Make this match very much a Randy Orton, Sami Zayn. Who's taking it, Randy or Sami? And I think that's exactly what happened here. I don't think anybody really bought into Trick winning it, even though he had some really great moments in this match. Our panel this morning, we're feeding into Damian Priest. George Fenmore that we had on the show this morning was really leaning into Damian and Drew having this unfinished business. But at the end, I think a lot of us kind of agreed that Sami was probably going to go over in this matchup. If you look at it from a business standpoint, maybe not the best overall decision to a lot of people, but Sami, the hometown guy, who also next week in Riyadh is going to be loudly cheered and is a big fan favorite there. Now, we're going to cover the Rumble next Saturday on the Positively Pat Sims show in the morning. So I'll give you all my thoughts on what's going to happen there. All right. And it's going to be perfect timing because the Positively Pat Sims show airs 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right. So that's 10 a.m. to noon Eastern. The kickoff show for WWE for the Rumble starts at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and the main show starts at 11. So you guys want a Super Bowl-like feel for the Royal Rumble, tune in to the Positively Pat Sims show at 7 a.m. and just get your fill of WWE from beginning to end. And then when the Rumble's over, jump back onto YouTube where we're going to be doing another live reaction show immediately following the Royal Rumble. All right, so for me, I'm watching Sami and I'm watching Randy because I'm believing that one of these two guys is walking out of here the number one contender. I think whoever goes over here, if it's Randy, I think the fans are okay with that. I think if it's Damian, I don't think the fans accept it over Sami or Randy. If it's Trick, I think Trick might get a bit of a pop, but I think overall, I think people would be like, yeah, no, not over the other guys in this matchup, not so soon. All right. But I think Sami was the right choice from a business standpoint, but I also think Sami's a good choice too, because I think Sami can go against Drew and can take that loss, establishing Drew as a good, strong heel champion. All right. Now, that's not to say Randy can't or Damian can't, but when you're going to Riyadh and you've got a huge fan favorite in Sami going up against Drew, I think that sets up the table for Drew to be the monster heel in this scenario as champion. All right. So a lot of good storytelling in this match, a great match overall. I think if I'm going to rate this match on a scale of 1 to 5, right, like the old Meltzer 5-star rating, I think I'd probably give this about a 3.5. It wasn't great by any means. I've seen a lot of much better Fatal 4-Ways, but it was fun. It was a fun match to watch, and I do think potentially AJ and Shinsuke might have gone long. I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on it. But I feel like they may have, because I did feel like this match felt a little rushed. And that's not to say that they didn't get everything in and that it wasn't good. But I don't know. It felt like they might have been moving a little bit quicker to get stuff in. That could be just me. Sometimes that's just a feeling I get, and I just run with it. And I tell you guys because I'm honest with you. All right? But, yeah, about a 3 out of 5. I'd probably give that a good, like, B minus maybe, somewhere in there in terms of a letter grade. We like to do that here. So, yeah, that's where I'm standing on the main event. Now, let's go back in time. Let's go back to the beginning. All right, now that that's what's fresh in our minds, now that that's out of the way, let's jump back to the beginning of the show. And Stephanie McMahon opens the show with no Joe Tessitore, which bummed me out. And she lets us know that poor Joe is stuck at an airport because of weather. And that's got to suck. When you are a traveling circus like the WWE, these kinds of things happen. You know, travel can really be rough, and it sucks. At the very least, it was only Joe, at least as far as we knew, right? None of the advertised wrestlers in the show were stuck somewhere. None of that, but poor Joe stuck in an airport somewhere. And I'm very happy we started off with the match that we started off with, which wasn't actually a match. This is crazy. Cody, we called on the show this morning that the Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu match was going to be a schmoz. It was going to be a no finish, maybe a disqualification, double disqualification, some kind of dusty finish like I called it. However, none of us actually came out and said the match would never even start. Right? I mean, none of us called that. None of us said, oh, yeah, no, this match, not even going to happen. So Jacob Fatu, first one out, followed by Cody. Cody and Jacob immediately start fighting. The ref gets taken out. The match hasn't started yet. Here come more referees. Here come officials. All hell breaks loose. And now you just got a brawl on your hands. And Cody and Jacob brawled. They brawled into the crowd. They brawled outside the crowd into the outer parts of the arena, where I remember taking a note on this, where I put, I loved the trash can spots from Cody. Cody picks up the plastic trash cans and just starts hurling them towards Jacob, and he's taking out these officials, right, as he's just, and I mean, guys are taking them like they're getting shot in the chest. It was hilarious, but I loved it. I thought it was so funny, but it was so good. And, yeah, it was insane. And then they fight back out into the arena, and the fans are digging it. I think the fans there, great fans in Canada, but they're liking this. They're having a lot of fun with it. And then all of a sudden, Drew McIntyre comes out, and what was really funny about that is my family sitting here telling me that it feels like someone's going to come out. And I'm sitting here like, at the time, especially, I'm like, no one's coming out, especially now, right? But I was wrong in that I didn't think anybody was coming out. I thought these guys were just going to beat the living crap out of each other until one man was left standing, or they both took each other out, kind of like The Rock and Mankind, and then they were finally going to be able to drag these guys away. All right, but then Drew shows up, and I should have saw this coming. But I didn't. I got caught up in the moment. Drew shows up, pushes Jacob Fatu off the little railing they're standing on through a table. Then he takes Cody and power bombs him through another table. And that's your finish. No match ever got started. It was just a pure brawl with Drew McIntyre standing tall at the end. So now the question's going to come up for next week for the Royal Rumble, and so it's going to be good to pay attention to SmackDown here. Is there going to be more than just Sammy versus Drew in the storyline build-up for next week, or might we see Cody and or Jacob get involved in Drew versus Sammy? Or are we just going to have this bleed into the Rumble itself, which I could definitely see. I could definitely see Jacob and Cody being your two guys really going at it and maybe even costing each other a Rumble victory. So it's going to be interesting to watch this week to see what happens there. But Cody versus Jacob, I thought that was exactly what it needed to be. We didn't need a match. We didn't need one guy going over the other guy. We didn't need Jacob over Cody. We didn't need Cody over Jacob. Neither one of these guys needed a loss right now. But both of them technically didn't need a victory either. So a schmoz like this, chef's kiss. I'm good with it. And there's a lot of times when I'm not. And I'll tell you when I'm not. But with this one, I was happy to see it. I thought it was the right call. Good choice. The fans were into Cody. All right. They really liked Cody, and I like Cody, but I really like aggressive Cody. I like Cody that's really going after it and going after his opponent. I like this version of Cody, and I want to see more of it. All right, moving on. After this match, the segment ends with Drew standing in the ring. I should stop calling it a match. It wasn't a match. But we end with Drew standing tall and triumphant in the ring, which of course leads us to later on in the night. So our second match of the evening is the Women's Tag Team Championship matchup, where we have Rio, which Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. And this was a good match. Io showed off a lot of what she could do. Rhea showing that she's still just so solid in the ring. But Raquel and Liv did very well in this matchup as well. Everybody shined. All right, I forgot to tell you, there really is, I don't really have a rating for, by the way, for Cody and Jacob because there was no match. But if I'm just going to rate it on a brawl scale, again, I would probably put it at like a 3 because it was entertaining, but there was nothing really all that inventive or anything that we haven't seen before that was done a little bit different. The only thing I really, really thought was fun was the trash can spots. But it was good from a storyline standpoint, right? From a match standpoint, there was no match. From a brawl standpoint, it was what it was. But from a storyline standpoint, I appreciated it. I liked it. All right. Getting back to the women's tag team titles here. So Rhea and Io are first out. What does that tell you? All right. Liv and Roxanne are second. And there was a full championship introduction by Lillian Garcia. Always so cool how those are done by WWE. It has that really cool, like, big fight feel to it. I love the Saturday Night's Main Event look of the mics hanging down like the old Madison Square Garden. Very, very cool. A couple of notes that I have here, because the match was very, very good. Rhea was late at one point to break up one of the pins, and it was very noticeable, especially from the camera angle that they had, that Io was waiting for the save. The ref was waiting for the save and really paused on that last 3 count. Like, you could tell it was 1, 2, okay, you kicked out. And Io had to kick out it would have been a pin had he counted. It would have been a 3 count. But Io had to lift her shoulder up late because Rhea wasn't there quite on time. Now, I don't pretend to say that, I could have done it better or anything like that. I'm just pointing out what I saw. And I'm sure a lot of you guys saw it. Wrestling's tough. But I tell you what, a spot that was not missed that was perfectly timed. And that is when we think Rio has the match won and Rhea Ripley is standing behind the referee as he's making his 3 count. Raquel, perfect timing, pulls Rhea. Rhea falls on the referee, stopping the count after 2. Perfectly timed moment by Raquel and Rhea. All right, so just that was really good. And Raquel obviously comes in, makes the save for her team. As Raquel is kind of gloating over that fact, Stephanie Vaquer's music hits, down she comes. Now Stephanie and Raquel are brawling, and that allows Liv to come in, try to take advantage on Io, but Rhea Ripley with a tag that Liv does not see. Rhea comes in, takes out Liv, 1, 2, 3, end of the match. One of the reasons I thought this was really, really good, it's not very often that one match will elevate multiple storylines all in one. And this match did that. This match continued a Judgment Day storyline, an Rhea Ripley storyline as the buddies that are holding the titles, and also the Raquel Rodriguez, Stephanie Vaquer storyline. It also interwove Liv versus Rhea. All right, just a lot of good stuff going on here. And it wasn't like it was so much that you couldn't digest what was going on. Everything was told simply and effectively, and I thought it was really, really good. And with this matchup, I rate it right up there with the main event that we had. I would give it probably a B, a 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good match. Is it you got to stop what you're doing to watch it? Not exactly, but very, very good. And that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, to match number 3, which I thoroughly enjoyed as what I thought was the match of the night. And I thought it was a great story being told in the ring. I thought it was a great kind of farewell to an epic rivalry that I thought never quite lived up to expectations in WWE. I thought Shinsuke versus AJ, that's that dream match that everybody wants to see, because these two guys, there's no way they could underperform in the ring. I forgot to fix the logo. Sorry about that, guys. But I don't know why it did that. It looked fine before when I was setting it up before Saturday night's main event. But, yeah, it seemed like Shinsuke and AJ in their feuds never could quite get out of second gear. It always felt like they were just revving their engines in second gear and never could get to that third or fourth gear. This matchup, if this had been what their WrestleMania match had been, I think this would have been one of the most epic rivalries in WWE history. This was a much better match, and I don't know if the reason is because AJ and Shinsuke were more handcuffed under Vince, and what Vince liked is an in-ring style, or if it's just because I don't know. I don't even have an or for that. Like, I just feel like it was either because they're under Vince's watch and Vince only liked a certain style, and now they're under Triple H's and now they're able to open up and let go a little bit more. I don't know. But I thought the match was really good. And AJ came out first, followed by Shinsuke. And AJ came out with a mask on. And I love the fact that Michael Cole is allowed to talk about all these things that happened outside of the WWE bubble, right? So Michael Cole is talking about the fact that AJ last wore that mask in a matchup in 2016 against Shinsuke Nakamura in Japan. Usually, there is no pro wrestling outside of WWE when they're doing this kind of thing. But here, they talked about it. They talked about the Bullet Club. They talked about Shinsuke's club. All that stuff. All right? Shinsuke came out and didn't look crazy. I mean, he still looks crazy. But he came out, red pants, red jacket, a little old school Shinsuke Nakamura. It was great to see these guys in the ring. I had a lot of excitement, a lot of goosebumps going into it. And it delivered. All right. And what I loved about it was it wasn't over the top, just a spot fest, which AJ could do a spot fest if he wants, even at his age now. Shinsuke could be a part of that, a spot fest. But these guys told a story in a match. That's my favorite part about watching WWE, is that you can have all the greatest in-ring talent in the world. You can put on all the greatest matches in the world, but without story behind it, it doesn't mean anything to me. I'd say the same thing about a movie, right? If a movie was just special effect after special effect, but there was no story behind it, or it wasn't a good story behind it, you wouldn't care. You could have the greatest special effects in the world. You wouldn't care if there was no story behind it. So this had story. You had AJ and Shinsuke. You had history. You had mutual respect. You had AJ that's coming towards the end of his career, who is a career-threatening match in 1 week against Gunther. And he's stepping in the ring with Shinsuke tonight. And I love the fact that they played up that there was something about AJ that was off at the beginning of the match. And then Shinsuke kind of brings it out of him with his little come on bit. And that awoke AJ. And then we start getting a little bit hard. The match built and built and built and built, and that's exactly what you want. You don't want to be going full throttle from beginning to end. But they started in first gear, took it to second. Then we got third gear. Then we got your grand finale of fourth gear, and we went home. And it was great. I actually very much, I know that sometimes when you're in the live crowd, because I've been to plenty of live WWE events, when you're just sitting there holding a finishing move, it's not the most, like a calf crusher, sleeper hold, even a sharpshooter. You're watching that live with no commentary, and you're just staring at guys just sitting there holding a move. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. But from a storyline perspective, you've got AJ, who probably more than anything wants to tap Gunther next week at the Royal Rumble. AJ was doing everything he could to get Shinsuke to tap. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that is going to play a role in the story building up to the Royal Rumble. I cannot see Gunther not using that. If you're smart about your booking and you're smart about storytelling, Gunther can come out and say, you couldn't make Shinsuke Nakamura tap after holding that thing for, 5 minutes? What makes you think you're going to make me tap out? Yeah, I get it that he did. The ref, nobody saw it. I get that he did, but it's not official. It's not on the record. Gunther can use that. Gunther can get inside AJ's head. It's not a hard leap to make. All right? When Gunther can say, you didn't make Shinsuke tap out, but I made John Cena tap out. All right? But overall, I was super happy that Gunther did not make an appearance. That was probably my favorite thing. No Gunther. It was just AJ and Shinsuke. And number two, I'm glad AJ got the victory here via pinfall. It was really great seeing Shinsuke. Because I don't have SmackDown, I can't watch SmackDown. And I don't see a whole lot of Shinsuke on highlight reels. So I don't even know what he's doing anymore. I can't tell you the last time I saw him on a PLE or a special event. I don't know. I know when I last saw him live, it was at the Honda Center here in Anaheim, and he was the dark match to open the show. So I don't know what Shinsuke's doing. He's obviously on the payroll, but I don't know how involved he is in everything, because unless you're able to watch every single episode of every show, it's hard to know for sure. All right. After the match, it was really, really cool to see AJ and Shinsuke show that mutual respect for one another. All right. And I was just begging, please, I do not need another rehash of WrestleMania where they show that respect and then all of a sudden Shinsuke kicks AJ in the nuts. I didn't want to see that again. Definitely not. So I'm very glad that this ended off on a high note, on a send the fans home happy type of deal. This wasn't the main event, obviously, but it was. I thought it should have been. to be honest with you. Yeah, it's maybe not the biggest story. You always want something around your top title to be your biggest story. You got your hometown hero and everything, but I really thought that match deserved to be the last match on the card. And if I'm going to give this one a grade, I'm giving it about a 4.25. I think that's a solid grade. I think it's an A-, B+ at worst. It was a well-told story, great in-ring work. There was not a lot you could look at and scoff at or say, oh, they screwed that up or they screwed that up. They were selling. Shinsuke selling the knee. Great work there. That's the kind of stuff I like to see, right? I don't like to see guys taking move after move after move and then act like nothing ever happened. Selling works in pro wrestling, and it will always work in pro wrestling. So I love that. So, yeah, match of the night for me, AJ versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And if you missed the opening of the show, we obviously were coming right off the end of Saturday night's main event, and we let you know that Sami Zayn in the main event became the #1 contender for Drew McIntyre's WWE Undisputed title. So that's going to be your title match for the WWE Undisputed title at the Royal Rumble next Saturday. So it's going to be a really fun week, I think, because this is where the build to WrestleMania really has begun. And I think that tonight, you could say that tonight was a big step towards WrestleMania. AJ versus Shinsuke. Sami Zayn becoming #1 contender. Cody versus Jacob in just a brawl. You had Rhea and Io still going strong as your women's tag champs. I still stand by. I am ready for Rhea and Io to split ways and go back to being singles competitors. It's not that I don't like them. It's not that I want one of them to turn heel. I just want them to split and go their separate ways and go after the women's title. I like Rhea as a singles performer. I think doing this is just keeping her out there because she's the most popular women's wrestler on the planet. That's about all that's why I think she's still out there all the time doing what they're doing. You don't want to pull her away from the world title, but I would love to see Stephanie Vaquer versus Rhea Ripley. I would love to see Stephanie Vaquer versus Io. All right. I wouldn't mind watching Rhea. Let's say Rhea wins the Royal Rumble. I would love to see Rhea go after Jade Cargill. I mean, you got two powerhouses there that one of them can really work and the other one's learning. And I think Rhea could really provide Jade with a great matchup. But it just depends on what WWE wants to do, what they feel the fans want to see. I think WWE knows that WrestleMania 42 was good, but what most people judge a WrestleMania on is its main event. Let's be fair. Most people judge WrestleManias on their main event. I judge WrestleMania 39 off of the event itself because I was there for night one. But what do most people think of when they think of WrestleMania 39? They should be thinking of Rhea Ripley beating Charlotte Flair. They should be thinking of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens beating the Usos, all in night one. But the thing they think of the most is Cody failed to beat Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns retains, which at the time was highly disappointing. WrestleMania 40 is known. A lot of people think WrestleMania 40 was amazing from beginning to end, which it wasn't. But its main event was so epic in the ending that people just were like, nah, 40 was amazing. It was awesome. And I'm one of them. I think 40 was great because of that one moment. 41 ended. I think people liked the fact that Cena won his 17th title, but they didn't like how it happened. I didn't have a problem with Cena winning number 17, beating Cody as a heel. I didn't mind any of that. I just didn't like how it happened. I thought the match itself was disappointing. And then you have no Rock, and you've got Travis Scott. It was a huge disappointment for people. And so I'm really glad that SummerSlam was the redemption that John Cena and Cody needed, with a much better match, and Cody going over this time, Cena putting Cody over as the new face of WWE, the face that runs the place, the quarterback, and now we're moving forward. And, yeah, that's it. That's a wrap, but man, we don't need to go any further. Those are my reactions to Saturday night's main event. I guarantee you, next week, our review and reaction of the Royal Rumble is going to be a much longer, because it's a much longer event. The Rumbles themselves always have a lot of highlights. We're probably going to have a lot of surprises to talk about. It's going to be great. And but I'll say right now, I don't really want to look at my face anymore because I've looked at it now. About an hour and a half yesterday, 2 hours this morning, and now another 45 minutes here today. And all I keep seeing is that the two halves of my face don't match up at all. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm seeing, like, I'm looking at my face going, why is one nostril lower than the other? Why is one cheek sticking out farther than the other? Like, it's bothering me, and I need to stop looking at my face. Yeah, I'm crazy. Oh, man. But I tell you, I'm really excited because I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I hope this was just the cap on it. My son and I, when I'm done here, we're going to head off into the other room, and we are going to smash some power cuff weight training. It's shoulders and legs for me today, so I'm super excited about that because that always kicks my butt. The leg part is super challenging. The arms, shoulders with a replaced shoulder, I got to be careful, but I still work it hard. I end up burning a ton of calories on legs and shoulder day. So Chris Hall's Transformation 2026. I want Ludwig, Gable, and both El Grandes to have a Rumble spot. That's what we talked about this morning, and we're going to talk about that again next week on the show, on the Royal Rumble preview show that you're not going to want to miss. Yes, I had mentioned that at some point all four of those guys need to be in the ring. That Ludwig, his version of El Grande Americano, Gable, and his version of El Grande Americano all need to be at the ring and share the ring at some point. Gable and El Grande, Ludwig, El Grande, Ludwig, Gable. It's going to be great because we talked about that because we mentioned Mick Foley coming out as all three of his characters in 1998. And I think they could recreate something very similar with El Grande Americano, and I think that would be a lot of fun. So, but we're going to talk about that more as we go. So, guys, here's what we got next week. Friday night for Warriors Unleashed at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be bringing you our Warriors Unleashed. That's our health, fitness, and mindset show. It's about inspiration and motivation and helping you live your best life. And we're going to be talking about a very controversial subject, which is called skinny versus healthy. Yeah, we're going there because we live in this visual world where everybody's trying to look a certain way, and they do it through drugs, cosmetic surgery, all kinds of things, because it's all about looks, right? And you got to think about it. You got to be honest with yourself. You're probably thinking that when you're losing weight anyway, how good am I going to look once I drop this weight, right? But what's more important, how you look or your overall health? Or are they somehow interwoven and interconnected? There's so many good questions that we can ask and answer next Friday on Warriors Unleashed. And then next Saturday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, immediately before WWE's kickoff show, the Positively Pat Sims Show is going to be giving you its Royal Rumble preview. Universal, welcome. Universal, if you've got any words of wisdom for our live audience here, for our viewers, I'd love to hear them on your thoughts on Saturday night's main event. I had a good time. My family and I had a good time. We had a nice little spread here. It felt like Rumble. It felt like a PLE spread with some good proteins, a little bit of carbs. My wife made some really cool little potato things. What were they called? Were they just like homemade potato chip things? Okay, that. They were really good. All right, we had a great time. Spread. Is that what I said? Did I say spread?
You've been doing your S's with SHs a lot lately.
Yeah, I'm getting older. That's what happens when you get older. Things change. And I'm also missing teeth. I found that out. When you have teeth pulled as you get older, like they're not visible, like they're more towards the back. But it did change kind of some of the way I speak. But I jokingly said the other day that when I get older, like now it's already starting to kick in a little bit. But as I get older, I'm going to sound like Walter Matthau. I'm going to sound like kind of a higher pitched Walter Matthau. Walter Matthau always talked with Eshes. Like he would talk like this, or Sean Connery maybe. Oh, Monday Penny. But yeah, I do. I know I do it. I think I try to block it out of my head. Everyone's very happy for hometown Sammy. Yeah, that's what I thought. And Universal, you were part of the show this morning, and we talked about that. We thought it made the best business sense for Sammy to go over today and head to Riyadh as the #1 contender. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure Sammy's a very popular guy backstage as well. I'm sure Sammy is a very respected and loved performer and wrestler backstage. So I'm sure everybody's happy for Sammy, without a doubt. So, all right, guys. Again, we are an ever-growing show here on the Positively Pat Sims YouTube channel. This is a YouTube exclusive show today, and we're going to be YouTube exclusive as well immediately following the Rumble. We talked about the Royal Rumble preview show. Immediately following next week's Royal Rumble will be our next reaction show, and I've already got it set up, ready to go, and I'm so excited. I love Royal Rumble. I'm excited for the Royal Rumble season. I'm excited for the build to WrestleMania. Let's buckle up and get ready to go. Speaking of Cargill, I've wanted to see a Mania epic build between her and Bianca at some point. I agree. I agree with you, Chris. I don't know where Bianca stands. Again, if she's on television where I'm not seeing her because I don't have cable, and I'm not seeing her in highlights on social media, if she's still out, I don't know if that's going to be in the cards this year. But I don't know. Maybe Bianca is a surprise entrant into the Women's Royal Rumble. I don't know. Again, I have so much, guys, going on. I love professional wrestling. I absolutely love professional wrestling. I am trying to do 8 million things a day here because my work ethic has improved so much over the last 5 years since 2021 when I started my health and fitness journey. I want to help people through my Warriors Unleashed Facebook group and show. We have our pro wrestling show, the Positively Pat Sims show that I'm trying to keep up on. We've got Game Night right here on this t-shirt. Game Night is going to be starting up very, very soon, hopefully next month. That's what we're working on. And then we've got At the Movies right here, the next one on my shirt. That's going to be starting up probably a month after that. So we are gearing up to have 4 shows on YouTube, 3 of which should be also broadcast on WANT radio. So we got a lot going on. I'm still recording my albums. Should be moving into recording some more stuff for the 3 that I'm working on, as well as getting started on recording this year's November's release, which is our Christmas album. So there's so much going on, and I have a full-time job. So doing all this while working a full-time job, because until this becomes my full-time job, I got to help pay the bills. I can't leave my wife to do it without me. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys for all of your support over this last year here on YouTube. Because we're not on WANT right now, I can't thank them. But for you guys here that watch us here on YouTube, Universal, you've been here for a long time with us. Chris, you're a great guy to have aboard here. I want to thank you guys. You guys have made this so much fun for me. You've made this a passion for me that I want to keep doing, and I want to keep bringing to you each and every week without pause. All right, at least not for a while. All right, so unless something happens where I just absolutely cannot get on the air, I promise you I'm going to be here every single week for you guys. So make sure you get on over to Facebook, follow Positively Pat Sims there, join our Warriors Unleashed group. You can also follow Positively Pat Sims on Instagram, TikTok, and X. So that's going to do it for me, Positively Pat Sims. So we're going to close this show out the way we love to every single time. Take it easy, WWE Universe, Sims Nation. And if it's easy, you heard the lady, take it twice. We'll see you next week right here on the Positively Pat Sims YouTube channel.
The lights are dim, but the room still hums with the echoes of laughter and the moments we spun. Every honest word is like a stone in a stream. It rippled, it lingered, it shaped our dream. And if you ever wonder where I'll be, look to the screen, I'll be there, you'll see. Goodbye to the faces that stayed in the glow. Goodbye to the voices I always know. This isn't an end, just a bend in the road. Goodbye for now, my friends, my show. The cameras rolled and the stories grew. Each review a mirror of me and you. Through coffee stains and late night calls, we built a world behind these walls. And if you ever